Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Fahrenheit 451 takes place in a dystopian future where books are banned and firemen burn any that are found. Guy Montag, a fireman, begins to question his society's suppression of knowledge after meeting a young woman named Clarice who opens his eyes to the world's beauty. Montag becomes disillusioned with his empty, oppressive life and starts secretly reading books. His rebellion leads him into conflict with his fire chief, Captain Beatty, and his eventual escape from the city. The novel ends with Montag joining a group of intellectuals dedicated to preserving knowledge, as the city is destroyed in a war, offering hope for a new beginning. Let's deep dive into the book. Montag's life as a fireman. Guy Montag is introduced as a fireman in a dystopian future where firemen don't put out fires, but start them to burn books, which are illegal. Society has banned books in an effort to suppress independent thinking and ensure conformity. Montag enjoys his job, taking pleasure in the act of burning books. His wife, Mildred, spends her days absorbed in shallow, meaningless entertainment from parlor walls, interactive television screens that dominate their home. Despite his outward conformity, Montag is plagued by a growing sense of dissatisfaction with his life, though he doesn't fully understand why. Meeting Clarice. Montag's life begins to change when he meets his young neighbor, Clarice McClellan. Unlike others in their society, Clarice is curious, thoughtful, and appreciates the natural world. She asks Montag probing questions about his happiness and the world around them, challenging him to think critically. Clarice's influence causes Montag to reflect on his life and the emptiness of the society he lives in. Her free-spirited nature and unconventional ideas make her an outsider, but her perspective awakens something in Montag, leading him to question his role as a fireman and the purpose of his life. The burnings and Montag's doubt. After meeting Clarice, Montag's disillusionment with his work grows. During one of the book burnings, Montag witnesses a woman choosing to die with her books rather than live without them. This event profoundly affects him, shaking his belief in the fireman's mission. He begins to realize that there must be something valuable in books if someone would sacrifice their life for them. Montag becomes increasingly disturbed by his society's suppression of knowledge and intellectual freedom, and he starts to question the purpose behind the ban on books. His internal conflict deepens as he secretly begins to collect and read books. Captain Beatty's warning. Montag's fire chief, Captain Beatty, becomes aware of Montag's growing unease and rebellion. Beatty, who is well-read despite his role in enforcing censorship, explains to Montag that society chose to ban books in order to prevent dissent and intellectual discomfort. He argues that books lead to conflicting ideas and make people unhappy, while conformity ensures peace and contentment. Beatty's speech is manipulative, attempting to justify the destruction of knowledge by appealing to societal stability. However, his words only deepen Montag's conviction that something is terribly wrong with their world. Montag becomes more determined to break free from the oppressive system. Mildred's betrayal. Montag's growing obsession with books creates a rift between him and his wife, Mildred. She is fully immersed in the superficial entertainment of their society and cannot comprehend Montag's need to question things or seek deeper meaning. When Montag reveals his secret collection of books, Mildred is horrified and reports him to the authorities, betraying him to the firemen. This betrayal highlights the stark difference between Montag and those around him, including his own wife, who have been numbed into complacency by the shallow distractions of their world. Montag's rebellion becomes a direct threat to the conformist society in which they live. Montag's escape. After being betrayed, Montag is forced to confront Captain Beatty, who orders him to burn his own house as punishment for possessing books. In a moment of desperation, Montag kills Beatty with a flamethrower and goes on the run. His escape from the city is frantic as he is hunted by the authorities and mechanical hounds. Montag finds refuge outside the city with a group of intellectuals known as book people who have dedicated themselves to memorizing books in order to preserve their contents. These individuals live in exile, waiting for a time when they can rebuild society with the knowledge they have saved. The Intellectuals' Mission. The group Montag joins is led by a man named Granger, who explains that each member of the group has memorized a book in order to keep its knowledge alive. These intellectuals believe that the destruction of society is inevitable and that they must be prepared to rebuild civilization when the time comes. They reject the notion that books are dangerous, instead seeing them as essential to understanding humanity's mistakes and moving forward. Montag, having fled the city and fully committed to preserving knowledge, becomes one of them. He chooses a book to memorize and take responsibility for, solidifying his transformation. The destruction of the city. As Montag and the intellectuals live in the wilderness, a war breaks out, and the city Montag fled from is destroyed in a bombing. The collapse of the city represents the culmination of the society's self-destructive tendencies, driven by ignorance, censorship, and a disregard for knowledge. Montag watches the city's destruction from afar, recognizing that the end of this oppressive regime opens the possibility for a new beginning. The destruction of the city serves as a form of liberation, freeing Montag and others from the oppressive structures that had controlled their lives. Rebirth and hope. In the aftermath of the city's destruction, Montag and the group of intellectuals prepare to return to the ruins and begin the process of rebuilding society. They believe that by preserving the knowledge contained in books, they can help create a more thoughtful and informed world. Montag's journey from fireman to fugitive, and finally to a protector of knowledge, symbolizes his personal transformation and the novel's broader message about the importance of intellectual freedom. The novel ends on a hopeful note, with Montag and the others committed to rebuilding a society that values knowledge, critical thinking, and individual freedom. The end of Montag's journey. The novel closes with Montag walking toward the destroyed city, reflecting on the knowledge he has gained and the changes he has undergone. He recalls passages from the book he has memorized, signaling his full embrace of his new role as a preserver of knowledge. Montag's transformation from a passive participant in a repressive society to an active defender of intellectual freedom represents the novel's central theme: the power of books and knowledge to awaken individuals and lead to a more meaningful, self-aware existence. The ending suggests that, despite the devastation, there is hope for renewal and the rebuilding of a better society. Let's meet together the main characters of the book. Guy Montag is the protagonist of Fahrenheit 451, a fireman whose job is to burn books in a future society where they are banned. At the beginning of the novel, Montag is a loyal servant of the state, unquestioning of his role in suppressing knowledge. However, after meeting Clarice and witnessing the horrors of his society firsthand, Montag undergoes a profound transformation. He begins to question the purpose of his work, becomes curious about the books he burns, and ultimately rebels against the oppressive system. Montag's journey represents the novel's exploration of intellectual awakening, individual freedom, and the power of knowledge. Clarice McClellan is a young, free-spirited woman who challenges Montag's worldview with her curiosity and appreciation for life's simple pleasures. Unlike the rest of society, Clarice values meaningful conversation, nature, and independent thought. Her unconventional perspective deeply influences Montag, sparking his desire for knowledge and personal growth. Though Clarice disappears early in the novel, her influence continues to shape Montag's journey. She symbolizes individuality and the importance of questioning the world around us. Clarice's character is a catalyst for Montag's transformation and serves as a contrast to the conformist values of the society in which they live. Mildred, Montag's wife, represents the complacency and numbness of the society they live in. She is obsessed with her parlor walls, massive television screens that broadcast mindless entertainment, and she has little interest in real human connection or intellectual pursuits. Mildred is emotionally disconnected from Montag and shows no understanding or concern for his growing dissatisfaction with their life. Her betrayal of Montag, when she reports his secret stash of books to the authorities, highlights the deep divide between them. Mildred's character illustrates the dangers of a life dominated by shallow distractions and the loss of meaningful personal relationships. Captain Beatty is the fire chief and Montag's superior, who paradoxically has a deep knowledge of literature despite his role in enforcing the ban on books. Beatty is cynical and manipulative, using his knowledge of books to justify the state's censorship and to keep Montag in line. He believes that books create confusion and discontent and that society is better off without them. However, Beatty's knowledge of literature suggests an internal conflict, and his eventual death at Montag's hands can be interpreted as a form of self-destruction. Beatty's character embodies the novel's themes of censorship, control, and the consequences of intellectual repression. Faber is a retired English professor whom Montag seeks out for guidance after his rebellion against the firemen begins. Unlike Montag, Faber has long been a passive observer of society's decline, afraid to act openly against censorship. However, Montag's determination inspires Faber to take a more active role in resisting the oppressive regime. Faber provides Montag with the intellectual tools to understand the importance of books and helps him escape from the city. Faber represents the power of knowledge and the potential for individuals to resist tyranny, even after years of complacency. Granger is the leader of the Book People, a group of intellectuals who live in the wilderness and dedicate themselves to preserving the content of books by memorizing them. Granger is wise, practical, and hopeful about the future, believing that knowledge and culture will survive even in the face of widespread destruction. He offers Montag a new sense of purpose, encouraging him to memorize a book and join their mission to rebuild society after the war. Granger's character symbolizes hope, resilience, and the enduring power of knowledge in the face of censorship and destruction. Let's explore together the main themes and concepts of the book. Censorship and intellectual freedom. One of the central themes of Fahrenheit 451 is censorship, specifically the suppression of ideas through the banning and burning of books. In Montag's society, this censorship is enforced to prevent dissent and promote conformity, with the goal of creating a stable content population. However, the novel illustrates how censorship ultimately leads to the degradation of individual thought and creativity. Bradbury emphasizes the importance of intellectual freedom and the dangers of a society that prioritizes comfort and uniformity over knowledge. The book warns against the consequences of suppressing free expression and the value of diverse perspectives in shaping a healthy, functioning society. The dangers of technology and mass media. Fahrenheit 451 also explores the negative impact of technology and mass media on society. In Montag's world, people are constantly bombarded by shallow entertainment from their parlor walls and other forms of media, which distract them from critical thinking and meaningful interactions. The novel critiques the ways in which technology can be used to manipulate and control the population, encouraging passivity and conformity. Bradbury warns that an over-reliance on entertainment and technology can lead to a disconnected, superficial existence where people become isolated from themselves and from the deeper truths of the human experience. Alienation and loneliness. Alienation is a key theme in Fahrenheit 451, as many characters experience profound isolation despite living in a highly connected, technologically advanced society. Montag feels disconnected from his wife, Mildred, and from the superficial world around him. Clarice, who represents curiosity and individuality, is seen as an outsider because of her unconventional views. The novel highlights how a society that discourages critical thinking and individuality can foster loneliness and emotional detachment. Bradbury suggests that true connection and understanding can only come from engaging with the world in a meaningful way, through literature, knowledge, and authentic human interaction. The power of books and knowledge. Books and the knowledge they contain are portrayed as dangerous in Montag's society because they encourage critical thinking and challenge the status quo. Throughout the novel, Bradbury emphasizes the transformative power of books to expand the mind and offer new perspectives. Montag's journey of self-discovery is sparked by his exposure to literature, which opens his eyes to the world's complexities and his own potential for growth. The intellectuals Montag meets at the end of the novel are committed to preserving knowledge through memorization, understanding that books are essential to the progress of society. Bradbury presents books as a source of power and freedom. Conformity versus individuality. In Fahrenheit 451, society values conformity above all else, with individuals expected to follow prescribed roles and avoid questioning authority. Montag begins the novel as a conformist, but his encounters with Clarice and his exposure to books lead him to question the rigid structures around him. The novel explores the tension between individuality and societal pressure, showing how suppressing personal freedom stifles creativity and innovation. Bradbury champions the importance of individuality, arguing that true happiness and fulfillment can only be achieved by thinking for oneself and rejecting the limitations imposed by a conformist society. Let's talk about the author. Ray Bradbury was an American author and screenwriter born in 1920, known for his contributions to the science fiction and fantasy genres. His works often explored themes of censorship, technology, and human nature, with his most famous novel, Fahrenheit 451, addressing the dangers of suppressing knowledge and free thought. Bradbury's other notable works include The Martian Chronicles and Something Wicked This Way Comes. His writing, marked by a poetic and imaginative style, has had a lasting impact on modern literature and popular culture. Bradbury passed away in 2012, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most influential speculative fiction writers of the 20th century. Sincere thanks for watching. If you found this summary helpful, consider taking a moment to hit the subscribe button, like or share the video. If you have any feedbacks or book requests, make sure to leave a comment. Regardless, I wish you a great day.